cheating wife begs for another chance, but I had a revenge affair. I met my future wife 10 years ago, and we began dating immediately after. At the time, we were both approximately 15 years old. When we were together, our connection was always positive. We just had a few of little disputes and disagreements, nothing too significant. Looking back, I now see that it was always me who put in the most effort and was the one who initiated the majority of the activities. From communication planning, dates to Zackies and other details, we've got you covered. To set up dates and plans, I'd be the one to contact her first and initiate contact in order to reach out and begin a dialogue. Our sex life wasn't too horrible either. We had intercourse on a regular basis, ranging from many times a week to several times each day. I was the one that was always up for trying out new and unusual things. She had a more restrained demeanor. She herself loved having me do her chores, but she never wanted to do them herself, since they were filthy and unpleasant in her opinion. I'd always been the one who earned more money and was more financially successful than everyone else. As a result, she rapidly became used to a housewife's routine of her own will, to the point that she gradually reduced her job hours to part-time employment. This is not to suggest that she was a gold digger in any way. I believe she's always had the impression that she's found her place. At one point in my life, I struggled with severe acne, neglected to have my teeth cleaned, and wasn't in as good of condition as I should have been. She never shown any indications of being ill. As a result, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. A man she met at the gym after we had been together for around 5 years, and 1 year had passed after we had tied the knot. She states that they were first simply friends who would work out together and enjoy conversing to one another online as well as going out to dinner and other activities. I was absolutely unaware of the existence of this new acquaintance and had no reason to suspect anything. After a few months, she decided to go on a weekend vacation with several of her friends. Taking a vacation, I had to pay her a portion of the bill since I had to leave on a Friday. She returned home on Saturday and informed me that she had a falling out with a buddy who had accompanied her on the trip. She had been sad during the day and had retreated within herself, crying at various points throughout it. At this time, I was more concerned about her well-being and had no reason to suspect anything. She ultimately broke down and sobbed uncontrollably, confessing that she had cheated on me for the last time. It took me quite some time to process what she had just told me about what she had done, and for the first several minutes, I felt completely numb. By the time I was able to pull myself out of my coma, I felt as if someone had struck me in the chest with a sledgehammer. As I walked out of the room, I puked on the floor multiple times before breaking down and sobbing like a baby. She said that she didn't intend for it to happen and that it was an oversight on her part. However, after spending the first night together, she realized she had made a mistake and that he didn't care about her, didn't love her, and was just interested in exploiting her. She also realized she had made a mistake and that she didn't love or care about him either when she woke up in the morning. And it had just been a brief halt in operations. To make matters worse, she stated that she had done with him things such as PJ that she had always refused to do with me, since emasculating me by having an affair evidently hadn't been sufficient punishment for her actions. I'd been in love with her from the first time I laid eyes on her. I had always been proud of the fact that our relationship had withstood storms when others had failed, that my family and friends admired her, and that she was well liked by me. The fact that I had such a great girlfriend and then wife had always been pointed out to me as a source of pride. I did all I could to lavish her with attention over the years, surprising her with presents and letting her know how much she meant to me in return. I would do all in my power to ensure that she always came first in my eyes. I was ready to give her BJ because she enjoyed it, and despite the fact that she did not reciprocate, she always came first in my eyes. Anger and despair rapidly ensued as a result of this. During this time, tears would be flowing down my face as I yelled at her. She done it, how she could do this to me, and whether she no longer loved me were all questions I had for her. Her response was that she did not understand why she had been weak, and that she had been engrossed in the moment. She urged me to forgive her and to give her another opportunity, which I agreed to do. She was very honest with me and promptly left the gym, which turned out to be completely unneeded as well. Upon attempting to approach him, I discovered that he had also fallen short. When she arrived, she was claimed by both my parents and her mother, my father having gone away some time before, and I did all I could to move on. We scheduled marital counseling immediately after that, and I began individual treatment shortly after that. I would periodically lash out in fits of rage, never physically, but rather verbally, calling her names and other degrading things. For the most part, she accepted it voluntarily, but there were a few occasions when she replied in kind, assuring me she would take me for all I was worth and that no other woman would ever love me. My parents, as well as her parents, made every effort to keep me in this relationship. I was naive enough to believe that, at the very least, my parents would have my best interests at heart. They informed me that mistakes happen, that we would be able to overcome this and develop as a relationship and as individuals, and that she still loved me in the face of everything. It took months for the anger and disgust to dissipate and for me to move on from this experience. I never loved her in the same way that I did before, but I grew to love this new her, or at least I believed I did when I first met her. She was prepared to go to any length to assist us in healing and putting the plan into action. In the aftermath of her outbursts, she signed a post-nuptial agreement in my favor, forgoing most every support on my end. She initiated a lot more, and our sex life improved significantly. After that, I was adamant about not giving her BJ. The concept itself was totally repulsive to me. We've always put each other first in almost everything we've done together. Afterwards, she went and engaged in unprotected sexual activity with the AP. She never expressed dissatisfaction, despite the fact that she had previously adored it. She also expressed an interest in doing a lot more things with me now. She then claimed that I had questioned her about if I was so repulsive to her and why she was ready to do these things with him. She was extremely saddened by the fact that she wasn't with me, and she wanted to make amends. We had a true period of happiness for a few years. I began going to the gym on a regular basis for myself, and other issues I had previously had, such as acne, began to resolve themselves. The passage of time led to my ceasing to check on her and abandoning any suspicions of foul play on her side. She doesn't go out much anymore on her alone, and when she does, it's typically just with people she knows well. Everything seemed to be going swimmingly, or so I thought, until about a year and a half ago. Following a reorganization at work, I met a female colleague. We clicked right away since we had same interests and were a fantastic match. We would send each other text messages and stay late at work so that we could talk and more. At this point, I had absolutely no intention of taking things in an inappropriate direction. I'm not sure why this is happening. Although I had a good working relationship with this coworker, it brought a lot of old feelings of bitterness, mistrust, and fury back to the surface. I pushed myself too hard to forgive and forget what had happened. But deep down, it was something I could never get over. If only I could keep myself under control. If I was able to prevent things from growing, why couldn't she? The fact that she seemed to have suffered no repercussions for her actions, and that everyone who knew about it had so readily forgiven her, just served to feed my animosity. I began to inquire about her well-being once again. In reviewing call records and texts, I discovered precisely what I had expected to find: a bunch of phone talks with a man who had previously been regarded one of my closest friends, and which had occurred while I was at work in the previous week, among other things. At first, I was utterly enraged, and I had half a mind to kick her out of the home, right then and there. Then I got completely deafeningly silent. I discovered that I didn't care anymore. Finding out about this in one fell swoop completely crushed any feelings of love or affection I could have had for her. The next day, I met with a coworker and began my own sexual relationship with her. It was a therapeutic experience. It assisted me in shedding a weight off my mind and mental health that I had never realized I was carrying. I felt healthier and more liberated than I had in years as a result of the program. I'd also contacted a divorce attorney within a short period of time. At this point, I just wanted to be done with it. I'd increasingly remained out, didn't try to offer many excuses, and avoided my wife whenever I was given the opportunity. She couldn't have missed it, and I can honestly say that it didn't bother me in the least to let her know. The fact that she eventually contacted me and inquired what was going on took her a full week to gather up the nerve to do so. At that time, I admitted my guilt. I informed her that I was aware of the phone calls. I informed her that I was aware of her having communicated with him behind my back, but that she had not informed me of this. I informed her that I was aware she was having another affair or was in the process of preparing for one. After that, I told her everything about my personal affair, including the gory details. Seeing her in the same pain and crushing her in the same manner she had crushed me felt liberated, as horrifying as that may seem to say. She burst into tears and started to weep. She vomited up in the living room, which was embarrassing. She shouted at first. After that, she expressed regret. She insisted that it wasn't like that she hadn't had an affair with him, and that they were organizing a surprise birthday party for me for the following week. I was surprised when she did something I didn't anticipate, particularly after I had informed her I wanted a divorce and had my own extramarital affair. The woman begged me to remain with her in order to attempt to make this work, telling me she loved me more than anybody else in the world. It was at that time that I just departed and checked into a hotel. Since her mother lives about 500 miles away, I totally cut off all communication with her and refused to even recognize her presence. I made this decision 2 weeks ago and haven't looked back. In spite of the fact that she is now staying with my parents, she has received a barrage of messages from other people, mutual friends, family, and even my parents, ranging from pleading with me to contact her all the way to threatening and insulting me, telling me she is a sweet asterisk, sidle and barely eats, and is determined to make this work no matter what, to demanding I beg her for forgiveness for my transgressions. My parents are the only ones with whom I have had any intimate communication, and they are people who I have subsequently lost all regard for. According to what I've learned, my own mother had at least 3 affairs, all of which my father has forgiven her for, which might have been one of the reasons why she and her mother, in particular, sided with her all those years ago. However, they are upset with me for doing this to her and for not behaving in the manner in which a man is expected to behave. They are also upset with me for running away from my duties and injuring my wife in this manner. My mother informed me she's going to take care of her until I'm able to come to my senses, as if us wanting her back is some kind of given, and as if she's a little, fuzzy animal that has to be cared for by someone else is unavoidable. They and others have also backed up her statements about why she spoke with other people in secret, including the former buddy. However, considering the disparity between their reactions to her and my affair, I have a hard time trusting any of them at this point. On the plus side, I discovered that she was incorrect in her assumption that no one else would desire me. Since then, I've met the other lady numerous times and had 2 brief encounters with her. After all, it seems that I am not very beautiful.